with a straight line, of course, and that's the same thing that we call linear equations here. So y equals to 2x. So now, in a different video, we did that by using the x and the y values table, and I'm sure that most of you guys are used to the x and the y values table. Now, the other way of graphing these kinds of equations is by using the slope. Okay? So using the slope, so which is m, all right? And then once you look at the equation that I put down on the other side, which is y equals to mx plus b, that same m is the same thing as the slope. And then we said before that m is equal to what? To y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So now that is the change of x, of y, over the change of x. That means the difference between two values of y divided by the difference between the two values of x. Okay? That's what it means. So that's the change of y over the change of x. And the same thing that we call the run over the rise, right? So m is the same thing as of the run over the rise. Okay? So this is an item that we need to keep in mind as we're going to do our work here. Okay? So now, if we take the equation here, y equals to 2x, and then we look at this one, y equals to mx plus b, what is missing? As you guys can see, there is no number after the x. Like in this case, we have b. So that means the number there is 0. So the b is 0. All right? And then b is what we call the y-intercept. Okay? So b is what we call the y-intercept. So b is the y-intercept. Okay? So b is the y-intercept. And then m is the slope. So the y-intercept is usually 0, b. Okay? So 0 and b. And that b is a y value. That b that we see here is a y value. Okay? So in our case here, our b then is going to be what? It's going to be 0, 0. So b here is equal to 0, 0 for us. Right? So because there is no b. So that's the reason why it's 0, 0. Okay? So that'll be our y-intercept. Now, our m here is what? As we look at the y equals to mx plus b, and m is the slope, our m in this case is going to be what? It's going to be 2. However, what we usually do is that when it comes to the m, we put it always as a fraction. What do we have underneath here? It's an invisible one. Okay, so any whole number actually has an invisible 1 underneath it to make it a fraction. Okay, so we can make it m equals to 2 over 1. So what is the y value stand for? So that y value, which is 2, is, the 2 is a y value, and then the 1 is an x value. Based on our formula here, m, which is the change of y over the change of x. So afterwards, so that means the 2 here is a y value, and then the 1 here is the x value. We good so far? All right, so let's go. So with that information only, we'll be able to graph it. So let's see the magic from here. So the first thing that we recognized was that b is 0, 0. So that'll be our first point. So the y-intercept is always your first point in these cases. So 0, 0 is my first point. Okay? Now I'm going to use the slope in order to get my second point, and then if I wanted to get a third point. All right? Already with 2 points, you can draw a line, straight line. Now we do a third point just to make sure that we get it all squeaky clean. So what's going to happen? So how do we get to the second point? To get the second point, we have to go from the first point and use the slope. So that means what? So we have 1, so we have 0, and then we say 2 over 1. And what's the 2? 2 is a y value. So that means we have to go on the vertical line, which is the y-axis. So it's going to be what? So from 0, we go 1, 2. And that's not our point here because that's a combination of these two values. And the second value at the denominator is what? Is an x value. So then we go what? 1, 2, 1, just like that. Okay? If we need a third point, now we have to go from the second point. And the second point we can go 1, 2, and then we go another 1. Or we can even go to the negative territory by doing what? So because we 0 here, now instead of going 0 twice up, we go 0 twice down. So we go 1, 2 down, and then we go to the left 1 time. Okay, so we go 2 down for y and 1 x to the left. Okay, so once you see it's a negative and negative, so that will cross out to give you a positive 2 over 1. All right, so you definitely have your line. Okay, from the same one that we did in a different video before, so you can check it. All right, so you can check it to see what we also have there. All right, now we're going to do the second equation here just to enhance our knowledge. So we have y equals to negative 3x. Now in the same token, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is what? It's going to give us 0. Okay, so our y-intercept, which is b, is going to be 0, 0. And then the slope, in this case, will be what? Negative 3 over 1. As we said, we're going to make our slope a fraction if it's not a fraction already. So that means the top value, the numerator value, is a y value, and then the bottom piece is an x value. We good so far? Okay, you following? Don't fall asleep on me now, okay? So this is what we have. So now as we have this one also, again we go with the first point. And the first point is always given to us by using the y-intercept, which is in this case our b, which is the 0, 0. So 0 here, 0, that's our first point in the second graph. Now we got to get to the second point by using the slope. And by using the slope, we go top and then the bottom, the numerator and then the denominator. So negative 3 is a y value. So that means we have to work on the y-axis. So 0, so we have negative 3. Because it's a negative number, we're going down. We're not going up. If we're going up, if it's a positive. We go down if it's negative. So we go up, so we go down, 1, 2, 3. And you're not finished yet because you finish only after using the x. So then we have x, which is what? Is 1. So you're going over to the right side because that's a positive 1. So you go down 1, 2, 3, negative 3, and then 1 over. All right? So that's your second point. If you need a third point, you can still continue from the second point. So you go 1, 2, 3, and then 1. Or you can make another point on the other side by doing what? So instead of negative 3, you do positive 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you go to the left 1 time. Because you're doing the opposite. Okay? So the opposite gives you, instead of negative 3, you have positive 3. And then instead of positive 1 at the bottom, you have negative 1 at the bottom. So that's how you do that. And then you have your third point. And then you get your straight line also in this case. All right? So now to name things in here, you can put for the first equation y equals to 2x. All right? Just to give them names so that you don't get confused. And then for the second line here, this one is y equals to negative 3x. So that you differentiate the two lines. All right?